Mickey, I am so excited to have you here. When I first started thinking of creating a podcast that had anything and everything to do with spirituality, I thought immediately of you. I can't imagine anyone else that I would want to do this with.
Oh,
So thank you so much for being here and welcome.
oh, thank you, Marissa. Thank you for having me. It is wonderful
Yeah,
and lovely. Thank you so much.
awesome. So you have been a incredibly influential person in my spiritual journey, if not the most influential person in my spiritual journey, in my awakening, and such a profound teacher. I've learned not only so much about myself and my own path, but also just so many foundational spiritual concepts that have really helped me to
Wow.
go forward in life in a different way. And when I started thinking about and planning for this conversation and what I wanted to focus on, I honestly had such a hard time choosing just a few things to
Wow.
discuss because there's so much that you have to share.
Yeah.
So I want to get into a couple of concepts in the realm of spirituality that I think would be really helpful for the listener to continue their own journey. But
Yes.
before we do that, I would just love for you to share your story. I actually have never heard you speak it. I've only read it in your book,
Right.
Soul Secrets, which I'm obsessed with. But your journey into mediumship from just this kind of everyday, normal, if you will, type of existence
Right. Right.
to what you're doing now, which is
Yes.
so unique. Tell us a little bit about that journey for you and what that looked like.
Yes, of course. So I'm glad you're asking that, Marissa, because really, usually I do that little few sentences at the end, but really my path to spirituality and to the work I do today mean that everyone can do that. And that is my main message because we all born mediums. We all have the ability to do that. Of course, it's required. Honey, Rocco is here. It, of course, it's weak. Sorry, my cat is ready to step on the computer. I love them,
Love it.
Marissa, but yeah, so that's really why it's very, very important to me in any event, in any teaching, to bring that up. That the conclusion of what I would share, how I got to it, is to show that everyone can do it. So I was born and raised in Israel in kind of quite a conservative Jewish home. My parents still elderly. My father is 94, my mother is 84, and they are in Israel. I have brother and sister and nieces and nephews, so everyone is there. So I grew up with the Jewish traditions, quite strictly, I might say, as far from spirituality as one can be. Marissa did not know about the word spirituality in English, in Hebrew, just didn't. So really was very, very focused on religion, which is of course completely different religion with every religious that have its own rules and regulation. As Judaism, I frankly grew up thinking God is a little bit more of a male figure, which I was terrified of because religious mean terrified of because there's a lot of rules that you have to follow, and really if you don't follow there is some sort of a punishment. So I grew up with that and needed to follow the religion, so completely again different than spirituality. At the age of 18 I joined the Israeli army. We all do in Israel, men, women, we have to. Usually women serve 2 years, men serve 3 years, but I signed because I became a sergeant. I was a shooting instructor, so I served Israeli army 5 years. Then I just moved to
Wow.
the US, obviously looking back now, it just was my soul journey. So when I came here, Marissa, I was obviously exposed to different religion. I was, because Israeli is mainly Judaism, I was exposed to other religion, which a little bit confused me as to why other religions see gods different, have different rules. Essentially, religion start to not make sense to me because you open to different things, because I realized that why is Judaism that and Christianity or Catholic would be something that like that. So it's pushed me a little bit more the direction of God as energy. the direction of
Mm.
spirituality, more specifically meditation, where I quiet the mind or work on quieting the mind. I became a Reiki master, certified Reiki master. I did energy healing to animals, which whom I love so much, and then to people. Readings were not included that time. I just gathered a lot of spiritual knowledge. The more I looked into spirituality, the more it set right for me. The more
Mm.
religion was wrong for me. So, which inspired to do even more. Back then, I was owning my own glass company in Long Beach, California for many, many years. So I was
Mm.
quite a business world, the businesswoman. But then, as I got into more and more spirituality, the business didn't make sense to me anymore. I almost felt foreign. Of course, what the
Mhm.
universe does, the universe also help push us out. So after all, that's exactly
Uh,
what they do. A lot of people are like, I'm not sure I like that concept. It is because I was frankly comfortable. I didn't know anything else in business and it was successful. So I'm like, why would I leave? But I felt foreign in the business world. I felt bored. And of course, the universe do its thing where the business eventually closed its doors. We did not sign any more contract. Of course, looking back now, that it was very much designed the beginning for me moving into spirituality.
mm.
Again, there was nothing to do with reading back then, but as I got into energy healing, which you kind of focuses it is as to the chi transfer to other living being, human or
Yeah.
animals, it's when the channeling started. So when the channeling started, like I put in my first book, Soul Secret, I honestly thought I'm schizophrenic. Because you start
Yes.
hearing, yeah, I actually, it weird, it bizarre because I came from a different background, but you start hearing inspiration and ideas out of nowhere. Hence, now we call it channeling, where you don't think about something and all of a sudden it's coming up. So as the time continued to unfold, I realized that those are indeed spirits. Of course, I continued to study and I got into automatic writing. Automatic writing, which is an ancient, super effective technique that you simply document what you get. So all that took a long time because
Mm.
spirituality, whether it is inner work or external, meaning helping others, take time. Everything take time. Success do not go from one step to a step 100. So it took a long time, by the time I left the business and got into that, as I got better in meditation, hence I was able to quiet the mind, hearing spirits. That's when I start lightly to offer it to people. Of course, at the beginning, I wasn't the readings were not as complex as now because spirit open ever so gently the door as they see when we are ready. So again, like I mentioned in the beginning, I didn't come from spiritual background. I knew nothing about spirituality.
Mm.
But once you taste that, the knowledge of spirituality sit with your soul in the body. You
Mm.
know it to be so. That's why when I do event, Marissa, I tell people
Mm.
the information should sit with you. There is nothing new I'm telling you. That I'm merely awakening your memory. And in this case, yours, you have the memory and the listeners. So that's why everyone can do it. That's why in my bio, that's why in my event, that's why in my, YouTube, I always said, if I do it, so do you, because I was about 32, entering into 33, where the spiritual path, and of course now I'm 61 years old, so all those years. But yeah, it does
Wow.
require great amount of dedication. You have to watch your lifestyle. I cannot have drama all day. I cannot smoke pot. I cannot do things that will close up my channel because I simply gonna get to a reading and not hear anything. So there are rules, or rather, I use the phrase, we have to be qualified for it. We have to work
Mm.
on our spirituality. But if someone really want, which I did, which frankly you do, Marissa, and if I
Mm.
might give you a compliment for the beginning, you were saying I changed your life because you are an exceptional student. That's why I change, because I can give
Type A.
Say again, honey.
I said type A. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So you respect to the concept of spirit. You have to have respect, and the most important thing, although we can all do it, we want to do that. For example,
Yeah.
I'm married to a man that is super spiritual, very elevated man, spiritually speaking, have no interest channeling spirit. Like, I'm going to
He's probably
stick
trying
with
to get
my
away
connect.
from it. Yeah.
Yeah, one in a family is plenty. So we want to do it, and you always want to do that. You have great respect, wonderful listeners. You always follow what spirit advice. So it was a combination of, yes, me helping you with the help of spirit, but you were lovely and receptive.
Thank you. It's so interesting hearing you say that it takes time, right? And that it's a practice, because I think so many people don't necessarily stick with it because they don't trust themselves, or they don't
Right,
trust what they're receiving,
right,
and or they receive something, they follow it, and they don't get a positive outcome immediately, and then
right,
they think, oh, that must not have been my intuition, or that must not have been spirit, because it
right,
didn't make me happy, or it
right,
didn't make me successful right away.
right.
And one of many of the concepts that I learned from you that was so, so helpful and transformative for me in my everyday life is that it's not always going to happen without challenge and frustration,
Right,
right? Because
right,
then there's no opportunity for
right,
growth.
right,
And ultimately, we are here not only to enjoy life, but also for soul growth. So that really helped me find the confidence to follow those little nuggets of knowing, right, when they come, and continue to follow them even when they don't in the immediate present time yield some amazing, incredible, tangible results,
right,
right? And the other question I wanted to ask you and bring forward to the listeners, when you're talking about channeling, you're talking about these messages and the messages that I've worked to receive, which, by the way, automatic writing, which you talk about in your book, that was the method that you and I worked on, and you mentored me on one-to-one for a long time,
yeah,
and so incredible. So I recommend to anybody that you get Miki's book, Soul Secrets. You can read about it there, so we won't go into depth on it. But when you're channeling, when you're receiving these messages, who or what are you receiving them from? Let's talk about that, because we hear people talk about, oh, my spirit guides this, or my angels that.
yeah.
Tell us a little bit, tell the listener about who this team is that they have with them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's a common question, Marissa, and I would add to that question or that topic when people ask, how can I differentiate between my own inner voice and that of spirit?
Mm,
And again, spirituality, whether effective meditation, practicing your spiritual knowledge, anything, any spiritual topic, take time and
mm,
patience. You have to take your time. It's one step forward and often 10 back. So you get up again and going
yeah.
on and on and on until it stick. Also, the more effort we put, the more we signal spirit that we are excited. So they pick up the slack, which due to free
Mm,
will. If we do nothing, there's nothing they can do about it. So in that respect, it's kind of important to keep an up. So in regard to differentiate the inner voice, us and spirit,
mm,
again, practice make better. But the main thing I would say, our inner voice always have some negativity to it.
mm,
Always. It doesn't have to be awful, but there's always a company, yeah, but what if? Yeah, but I'm not sure. Either doubt, negativity, or worry. Also, our inner voice, the best I can describe, honey, it's very close to us. It is loud. The voice of spirit, any spirit, I'll touch the different spirit that talk to us, is soft, it's loving, it's understanding, and it's beautiful. That's why in reading, spirit guides can be tough on us. That is their job. But when people come to me from other readings, let's say, and a medium say that spirit guides swear at them, or angry at them, or disrespectful, it doesn't work. That wasn't a spirit guide, that was the medium.
Mm.
Because spirit guides are evolved and elevated souls. Angels are evolved and elevated entities. They outgrew negativity. That's not what they do. So you differentiate by knowing this is you. For example, the first thing I heard from them is I love you. And I
Mm.
said, well, that's not something I will tell myself. You see, so that is the easiest thing.
Mm.
You know that you wouldn't say that. Also, again, we practice. They in the background. They're not closed like the inner voice and always positive. Once again, important to bring up. Again, they can be tough. Spirit guides can be disappointed at us, but the way they deliver it is always loving, uplifting. That's why in reading, I would use the phrase, so there is a good news and there is an advice. There is no bad news in spirituality because it's not. It's all about growth. So in that we speak. In regard to who talk to us, it doesn't matter, honey. It doesn't matter. You just do your work so you attract only light beings. I only talk about light beings. Sometimes in interview, people ask Clayton, can she talk about the devil? I do not talk about anything other than light
Yeah.
being. So it doesn't matter if you do the work, if you create a spiritual lifestyle, if your channel is lovely and open, only light being what you attract because we
Mm.
we activate law of attraction. So again, with time, spirit guides are human souls. They have incarnated into planet Earth for hundreds and thousands of incarnation, and they do not or they can choose not to use planet Earth for growth anymore. So they remain in the spirit world and they assign themselves to each one of us. Of course, spirit guide refer to themselves as our eternal teachers and friends, delightful, wise, powerful, and
Mm.
unbelievably loving. So hence, they'll bring things up, but in a loving way.
Mhm.
Because they're human souls, they're a little bit more casual. Their
Mm.
channeling is more casual. Angels are different. Angels feel different, look different, sense different. Do you need to know who it is? No. But since we communicate with them, we simply ask them and they do,
Yeah.
so the little bits of detail is best not to focus on that. Get to a
Mm.
point where you hear their channeling and then you ask them who's talking. Mostly are the spirit guide. Of course, departed loved one will introduce themselves. Once you It's like riding a bicycle, I think it's called in English, that you don't forget.
Yeah.
So once you do that, then the rest is just easy. It's getting there, Marissa. It's like you
Mm.
mentioned, no one want to meditate. 9 out of 10 of people, they said there is no time. Sure, there is a time. Well, I have newborn. Then wake up before they wake up. There is
Mm.
always time because we need to quiet the mind. So it's
Yes.
the hard work that it take where people drop along the way and just give up.
Yeah. Do you think that's because of ego
Ego is
or just
everything.
because of
Uh,
humanness?
it's both. Ego want quick results. Ego is impatient. What we casually use the phrase ego, it's an energy or an entity that reside within the body in the same space, meaning the body of the
Mm.
soul. So the beautiful concept of the creator that we accompany with two entities, and really throughout an incarnation, through our spiritual awareness, how good human being we are, positivity, we're hoping to align ourselves with the correct energy. Humanity right now clearly align themselves with the collective ego, hence you see where we are. So that's where it's lead up. Because they're both energy, it's growing power. What you feed, grow. If you
Mm.
feed the ego, and again, from little simple thing that you want to say the last word and drama, and I mean, there's on and on I can go, the ego grow and grow and grow
Mm.
in power, where the soul sit there in the body. I use that because it's literally look like that, unable to shine through the personality. So it's you and the ego, and that's not good. Not you, Marissa, I mean a person.
No, I mean it's true. Even, I have to discipline my ego all the time, and I've learned a lot of that from you, and I fall off the wagon all the time, right? And I
Yes,
always tell all my coaching clients that I'm like, it's hard work. It really is hard work. So I'm happy to hear you say it's comforting to hear you say, you take a step forward, you take 10 steps back, because
yes,
it is difficult, especially when we face certain energy collectively and just in our
yes.
whatever goes on, just the living of life as a human
Right,
being, right? A soul having a human
right.
experience.
Right.
It
I
isn't
would
always
add to
easy.
that as well, although it's a tough road, my guides sometimes use the phrase, we're not letting you walk in the desert without a little bit of like good, cool water, because there
Yeah.
is reward. Once you start getting the reward, Marissa,
Mm.
relationship are better, you feel better, there's no drama, you feel more uplifted in a better mood, then that's when you want to do that. It's getting
Yeah.
that bit at the beginning where
Hmm.
seemingly we don't get a result, kind of like losing weight. People give up when they don't see, well, my jeans still doesn't fit. Well, wait a little bit. Just keep
Yeah.
going a little bit more. And then once you see, oh my God, the clothes fit in, then you get excited and you're going. We just have to
Yeah.
have patience, which of course it's not humanity's strong suit.
No, no. And with respect to our guides, you mentioned they pick up the slack, right? When we put in some effort. So we make some effort, they come in, they help us, they're always guiding us, they're always with us, helping us to live out the blueprint,
Right.
right? That we have, again, as I learned from you, that we have set out, our soul has set out before our incarnation to, I feel like I'm taking a test here, repeating these things, right? I'm going to be graded
Uh,
later. But yeah, we have this blueprint for our lives with these kind of significant milestone experiences that you have helped me to understand. And then we also have free will. So our guides are not able to ultimately step in and do life for us, right?
right, right.
So, can you tell the listeners a little bit more about where and how free will comes into play, and also what the heck a blueprint is? Because I do also think, I will add, knowing that, knowing and believing and feeling in my own body that my soul chose some of the things that I experienced that were hard
Yes,
was liberating,
yes.
right? It was
Liberating?
freeing. Yeah, it was
Oh,
freeing. It's a
okay.
freeing thing
Oh,
because it
okay.
allows you to remove blame and
Right,
all of
right.
these other
Yes,
resentment, because you're like, no, I chose this, or
yes, yes,
this was my free will doing. It wasn't this person or
yes,
life or whatever else
yes,
you come to point a
yes,
finger at, right? It was
yes,
like, I can take ownership, and it kind of allows you to bring your power back, because you're
yes.
like, okay, ultimately I'm responsible for
Right,
this, and if I can listen to my soul and my guides and
right,
find my way, I
right,
have a choice.
right, right.
Yeah.
That's because you are elevated, Marissa, because most people don't look at it like that. Most people, when they go through hard experiences and understand that this is the thing that the soul needed to include, unless there's a certain spiritual level, they don't look at it like that. Actually, it can annoy some people, which is fine, which is normal. So your view is of someone a little bit more elevated. Also, not only you accepted, it actually helped you. So that is my
Mhm.
goal as a spiritual teacher, to make
Yeah.
everyone like Marissa. But not everyone
Oh
is.
my gosh. Yeah,
And
setting the bar, setting the bar pretty low
actually,
there.
but in regard to blueprints, so the blueprints are the detail of each incarnation. Spirit sometimes calling the blueprint of the incarnation of the lifetime. So a soul will include certain milestones, first and foremost, the typical. Where we born, the time we born, the soul have an absolute precise moment when it's get conceived, when it's enter planet Earth, as well as when we die. When we die, how we die, to the precise manner, indeed is included by the soul. Some souls come here for 7 years, some 40, some 90. Every incarnation, the soul will change. So incarnation will change from one to another. The more variation the soul bring, meaning 2 lifetime wouldn't be the same. If you reach in this lifetime, the soul create next or previous lifetime as poor. Why is that? Because the soul, S-O-L-E, the sole reason why we enter into this harsh dimension is to expand our God-like essence. We crave and want to be more like God. Why? Because we are a part of Him, His children, if you will. So when we enter planet Earth, we embody a physical form and we utilize the personality to express more of our God-like essence. So certain events are indeed designed by the soul, your family unit, the parent, the sibling, kids are very much designed by the soul. So a family unit had an agreement among all the souls. You will be my mom, my father, because I was your father last life, Beautiful. Sounds simple? It is. It is lovely spirituality of great simplicity as we compare to religion rules, So those are indeed designed by the soul. Other things that are designed by the soul are illnesses. Illnesses are designed by the soul. Now, again, depending on the level of spiritual awareness, people would say, why would I choose cancer? You didn't choose cancer, your soul is. The soul is part of God, the multidimensional, immortal being that is not afraid of cancer. And illness provides the soul with a great opportunity for growth. Look, when people ill, their priority change, they become more empathetic. Some don't, but an illness in opportunity, it changes your whole view. You value life. Oh my God, now I'm going to value every day because I don't want to die. I almost died. So the soul will include certain things, and they refer to as our destiny. Can we change those? No. If the soul decide to live at the age of 20 in an accident, that's not an accident, that's what the soul choose to live. So there's a lot of reason why the soul, you can put on the soul our mind. If it's Miki, I want to every life live till 90 and then fall asleep and then wake up in the 30. It doesn't go like that. So you need to open to that. Now, free will, we're not machines, Marissa. There is no plug of a switch. We still have plenty of things that we can change, that we can get better, that we can improve. That's where free will come. Also, if God forbid you get an illness, you don't assume, okay, my soul chose it. It might not chose it. Maybe it's your lifestyle. Maybe you didn't care of the body. It's not illness. It's not just by the soul. We're not meant to know that. We're just meant to be open to the concept. So that's when free will come, when we grow spiritually, when we serve others, when we're nice to others, kind to others. That is how we help our soul to express its God-like essence, which shine through our personality.
That's so interesting. So I think about myself, like having cancer at 19 and 18, sorry, and 19, and I think about, my divorce and, I wonder sometimes like, did I create that? Right. And ultimately what you're saying is it doesn't really matter whether I created it or not, but it's still regardless an opportunity
Yes.
to grow.
Yes. It doesn't matter because we're not meant to know. If you come
Yeah.
to reading, I'm not going to tell you that.
But we want to know.
Of course, exactly. Of course, so here comes the ego. So it's being open to the concept. So in regard
Yeah.
to divorce, 50-50. 50% of divorce, the souls are simply done with one another. Mickey of 10 years ago, 20 years ago is Mickey of today. What I'm saying, sometimes soul just need another partner because it's provide another growth opportunity. So some divorces are very much agreed upon by both souls. Allowed cause marriages to fail. Of course, that's just common sense. That's the beauty of both. Plenty of couple come to me. They are a soulmate as they come. Soulmate is not what people think, meaning the souls are very much meant to be together and very much meant to continue. But if one have an affair, if there's fights all the time, then the soul contract, as it's referred to, is done. So again, it's a combination of both. That's why you don't want to start thinking and putting the pieces of the
Mm-hmm.
puzzle.
It's
That's
complex.
say again, honey.
It's
Yes, yes,
complex. Yeah, we
exactly.
live in a
Very
dynamic
complex.
universe.
Right. What you
Yeah.
can do is be open to the concept that the soul does choose big events. Sometimes it's us. Sometimes, even though the soul meant to exit planet Earth in a certain manner in a certain time, people drink and drive and they die because it's a risky
Mhm.
planet. This is a material world. This is a really harsh
Mm.
dimension. So, although most time we go when we meant to die, we have to be careful. If we're stupid, we're going to die.
Yeah. I am so glad that you broke that down because a lot of what I love about you so much as a medium versus some other people that I have spoken to in the past. Sometimes I tend to hear it more with not, I don't know whether this is the reason, but sometimes with like people who call themselves psychics. And I don't really fully know the difference if there is one. But what I have heard sometimes from other people is like, I see this for you. This is going to happen. This will be the case for you. And it feels like, oh no, this thing is going to happen. And it's very
Yes,
definitive.
yes,
And so I love how you do readings and how you just are in general as a spiritual teacher in incorporating all of this truth of, the role that we play in our own existence
yes,
and really empowering us to seek the advice and the guidance around us and make our own decisions
right.
instead of like receiving this reading. And I think a lot of people are afraid of readings for this reason, like, oh, they're going to tell me I'm going to die or,
Mm,
some
yeah,
prognosis. And I
yeah.
still even get nervous before we do readings just because,
Um,
I
yeah.
know my guide is Mr. Serious. So,
Yeah, yeah. A little
but
feisty too, Marissa, but okay.
feisty and fun. Love it.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really happy that you shared that and I appreciate that. I would love for you to share here just before we go. Where can people find you? Where can they book a reading with you
Um,
to hear some of this stuff from them for themselves?
thank you.
Share that with us if you will.
Thank
And I will
you.
link it, of course, in the notes.
Thank you, thank you. So everything is in the website. My beloved husband do that for me for years, do all my marketing and client, and he's really good at that. And it's Miki as Mikijacobs. So the readings are there, anything new is there, so everything is there. I do videos periodically that I choose certain topics and, talk a little bit about the books. But basically, the website would be the best go-to in regard to just kind of read a little bit about myself or what I do or the type of reading, certainly book a reading or any
Yeah.
events coming up in that new year. So, yeah.
Yes, and book in advance because this woman is always booked up.
Yeah.
And you're booked and busy in a good way.
Oh,
And you just have been winning awards left and right for your second book.
yeah.
Will you just share a little bit about your second book?
Yeah. So the second book is very dear to my heart because I absolutely too much adore animals. I mean, I just, of course, Clayton and I, we have 20 animals here. So we have a ranch in Southern California, and we rescue horses, dogs, cats, parrot, tortoises, ducks, the whole thing. Many years I wanted to write that book, and the spirit advised me to do Soul Secret first. So finally I did. It took a long time, Marissa. This is a channeled book for the most part, 80% of it. So you need, which why it took time, but it's a comprehensive in regard to how unbelievable animals are. Of course, pets as well as all animals, their mission, how spiritual they are, it's unbelievable. So it's very dear to me. In regard to the award, it became ridiculous. Fair, we were celebrating one. Then I come
Yeah.
downstairs from my office. I'm like, we have another one. He said, oh, good. And then it's 3, and then it's 4, and then it's 5. And
I know, I get the emails and I'm just like amazed.
I
It's
know.
incredible.
Yeah, very great.
Sacred Wild, right?
It's Sacred Wild, honey, Sacred Wild. So yeah, so that's of course also in the website if people are, if animals are close to their heart, and yeah, but it means a lot to me, and I'm very honored to the help of spirits, of course.
So, well, I am eternally grateful to you in general, but especially for being here for this conversation, and just appreciate your time. And go get a copy of Miki's book, Soul Secrets. You can get it on Amazon. If you're one of my clients, you probably already have it. And thank you again, Miki.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, Marissa. It was lovely and informative. Thank you.